Hey, this is Carlo Krikos, co-founder of the Yes Institute and author of the 9 Key Components of Peer Mentoring. You've been hearing about the 9 key components of peer mentoring. We talked about it in some other videos, and here are the 9 key components of peer mentoring. So I have them here on the flip chart, and I want to present them to you briefly and giving you some background on some of the areas that we will be dealing with. Each of these components get a lot of attention in this audio course because we're talking about a half an hour to 45 minutes about each of the components. So it gives you a lot of detail, which I'm not going to give you now. So let's start at the beginning. Ownership by stakeholders, which is extremely important, of course. This is not only the ownership by the parents, by the school principal, by the people on the ground in the school, if you run a school-based program, but of course also very importantly, of course, the funders. They have tremendous ownership, but also that you don't forget the mentors and the mentees in that stakeholder conversation that you're having. So that's the first part. And the ownership of the stakeholders is very important with regard to the measuring of the outcomes, because once you have the outcomes, you have to report them to the stakeholders so they know if you achieved the results that you thought you were going to achieve and what are the lessons learned. Second part, recruitment. Where do these peer mentors come from? That's one of the most asked questions that I get. And so just be sure that you don't only go after the STAR students, after the National Honor Society students, but there's a huge majority of students which make very powerful, effective, impactful role models for younger students. And they don't have to be necessarily the student leaders. They're kind of that mid-band of students which are much more like, as I said, silent leaders. Third, retention. Of course, without peer mentors, there is no peer mentoring. And retention is one of the components that every mentoring agency, your traditional community-based mentoring program with adults, they struggle with this tremendously, with retention. Mentors which are burning out because they feel they don't have the impact. So it's very important. Within the retention training are kind of the same, because training and retraining will keep people in the mentoring program. That counts for your peer mentors and it counts also for adults. As a matter of fact, there's a direct correlation between the amount of training that you provide your mentor in a peer mentoring program or in an adult community-based or school-based program and the impact that they have. If you train them, they will have more knowledge, they will feel more confident, and they will be more impactful mentors also because they will stay longer. And there's a direct correlation between the longevity of your mentoring program and the training and the support that you're providing to your mentors. Adult mentors and peer mentors. So the retention and the training are very, very much connected to each other. With regards to training, be sure that you provide very clear expectations for those young leaders of what is expected of them, so that they know in 3D very specifically what they need to do in this relationship when they meet their mentees. So not only your pre-training, but it's important that you continuously do coaching. There's continuously support being provided to them. So don't just send them out there and say, well, why don't you just go and meet Maria once a week and make an impact and be a role model and help her change and help her do better. That doesn't work. That doesn't work for adults either. So it's very important that you train them and coach them. So we are going to talk about all different aspects of training, from the pre-training to the coaching, and what are some of the skills that you need to teach beyond your basic one-on-one mentor training. The process, we will be spending in the process a lot of time on matching. How you match a peer mentor and a mentee. Again, it depends very much on the character of your program. Are you doing your program inside a school? Are you doing it inside your faith-based institution? Or maybe you're doing it, within your own Boys and Girls Club, for instance, or your own non-profit. But we're talking about the matching process, some fun stuff such as speed dating and And the advantage actually of a site-based program as a peer mentoring program is that you have tremendous insight into the development of the matches. So if you see that a certain match is not going that well, you can shift that. So you can allow them in the beginning to see if certain matches gel, yes or no. So we're talking a lot about the matching here. I believe that a lot of peer mentoring programs succeed or fail because of logistics. For instance, we started off with our peer mentoring programs where we had high school students be mentors to middle school students. The biggest obstacle there was the logistics. How do you get the high school student after school from the high school to the middle school? Then the high school stops at a different time, so then the bell goes in the middle school, and then you have to get the high schools there. You have to have the transportation. The middle schools kids have to be gathered on the underside. They have to be in a certain room. I mean, there's so many different logistics, and if you do not have your logistics in place in your peer mentoring program, this is the weak point of every peer mentoring program, is the logistics. So it's very important to get these logistics right. And in the audio course, we are spending a lot of time in every aspect of logistics and looking at the things that can go wrong and what you can do about it, so that you can avoid those common mistakes. I always say, hey, I made every mistake in the book so that you don't have to make it anymore. So that's the importance of the logistics. The curriculum is, again, we have talked about it before, that the mentoring relationship has to be relevant for the mentee and for the mentor. So what curriculum are you infusing? For instance, at the Yes Institute, what we infuse is a lot of academics and a lot of social and emotional skills. And what we actually will be talking about here, I will be talking about some of the social and emotional skills, kind of the emotional intelligence skills that the Yes Institute is providing to the students, to provide these protective factors to those students so they can deal with the challenges and the risk factors that they have in their life. We're talking also, I will also talk about some instructional design best practices here as well within curriculum, because that's one of my my passions to have the curriculum. It's one of the reasons why actually I got into this field, to really teach social emotional skills and teach emotional intelligence to kids. Very, very important is to have a completion process. We human beings are we love we need to have a way to have a ritual. That was the word I was looking for. So these rituals are very important, so we need to complete a relationship. So it's very important for the mentor and the mentee to have a completion ceremony or completion activities that they can do. And again, I will provide you with different ideas, what you can do if you have one-on-one mentoring, if you have group mentoring. It can be a large graduation of the program where you invite the parents and the community. You can have the students MC this entire event. You can have the mentor and the mentee write letters to each other, acknowledgement, and so forth. But it's very important that the mentor and the mentee feels that, especially the mentee feels that there is an official completion, because otherwise, if the mentor suddenly stays away, the mentee is going to take it personal. She's going to think, I said something wrong, I did something wrong, she doesn't like me anymore, why would she hang out with me? Which is exactly the opposite what you want to achieve in your mentoring program. And then, of course, the measuring of the outcomes. Here I have learned in the last year a lot, thanks to the Service to Science contract that we have, learned a lot about evaluation. So that you understand, when you start off, what are the outcomes? You know, the common question is, what does success look like? If you're successful in your program, what does it look like? What is that? And so that you know what are your process measures, what are your outcome measures, and that you create a logic model for your program. It doesn't have to be an evaluative logic model over many pages, but at least that you have a one-page logic model in the flow, and that you know what are the inputs, outputs, and the outcomes, short-term, long-term, and so forth, of your program. So here they are, the 9 key components of peer mentoring. as I just mentioned them, the ownership, recruitment, retention, training, process, logistics, curriculum, completion, measuring outcomes. So this audio course, this is all available for you. And let me flip this piece of paper without pushing over the easel. So, as I mentioned to you before, is that we apologize. We apologize that we do not have the information in place by the time that we said that we're going to have it in place. And I explained it to you in one of the earlier videos. So, we're going to make it up to you. This is how we're going to make it up to you. So, what will happen is that this is close to 9 hours of expertise around peer mentoring. So the normal price, the market price, is going to be $97. Your price, the people who were at the symposium, is going to be $47. So the $47 is going to be a incentive for you to get that, and a way to thank you, because it's only, this $47 is only going to be within the next 7 days. So if you act within the next 7 days, you will have the entire audio course for $47. Now, we thought it would be good to throw in some extra bonuses to incentivize you. So, the first 10 people who sign up will get a 30-minute private consultation or coaching about whatever they want to talk about, a peer mentoring, with myself, moi, le Belge. And so you get to talk like on the phone, you can do it on the phone, or if you live in Denver, you can come to our office, and I'm willing to meet with you for 30 minutes. So you have 30 minutes of a private consultation for the first 10 people who sign up and buy the product at only $47, which is tremendous value. Then, for everybody who buys this product, there will be a 1-hour interactive webinar. So where I'm going to go a little bit more in depth than I did now about every aspect of peer mentoring, and where you can ask questions as well. So it's interactive, and people can learn from some of your questions, and you can learn from some of the things that I'm answering to other people as well. And just for the fun of it, we're going to throw in a little bit of extra curriculum. One of the components that we are teaching also is we're talking about the 6 stages of a mentoring relationship. And this is kind of the natural evolution of a mentoring relationship. And what I have written is in each stage I write it from the perspective of the mentee, the perspective of the peer mentor, and the perspective of the staff member. And then I write, you know, what is happening in each stage and what can you do about it, especially with regards to the peer mentor and the staff member. So how do you deal with that? And it goes from the very beginning, when the mentee doesn't want to have anything to do with the peer mentor and giving a lot of attitude to the peer mentor, and to the very end, where the mentee is doing fabulous, and you truly have the essence of the mentoring relationship, where you build that very trusting relationship between the peer mentor and the mentee. So in each stage looks at these 3 main parties and how these parties can deal with it. So there you have it. So the 9 key components of peer mentoring. To wrap it up, they are for you for $47. If you act in the next 7 days, you will get, if you are one of the first 10 people, a 30-minute private consultation with myself. For everybody, there will be a 1-hour webinar, and you will get thrown in as another bonus the 6 stages of the mentoring relationship. And these are the different bonuses that we are offering. So it's a great honor for me that I was able to work with you at the symposium last year. Again, our apologies for not getting the information to you in time, but I hope that this will please you, that we can give you some extra information of the expertise that we have been putting together in the Yes Institute for the last now 14 years. So, in the wise words of Gandhi, be the change you wish to see in the world. And thank you so much.